For more on today's top news, let's bring in our panelists now. We're happy to be joined by distinguished professor at Touro University, Thane Rosenbaum. Also joining us, Republican strategist, former U.S. congressional staffer Jennifer Massey, alongside former Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker. Great to see our panelists today. President Biden, as we know, set to give his first State of the Union address this evening. There are many challenges this administration faces domestically. But Thane, I'll go to you first. How much does he focus on the Russia-Ukraine crisis tonight?
Well, remember, Emma, presidents oftentimes demonstrate their global leadership at this very moment. Wars can be opportunities. Presidents Reagan and Nixon in their management of the Cold War, and of course, Franklin Roosevelt, World War II. So this, in some ways, this is a president who spent years on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. He said that I'm an expert on the world stage. And I suspect he'll talk a little about that today, that he has been managing this crisis so far with a very skilled hand and alongside our NATO allies. At the same time, we have, rising inflation, rising prices, supply chain issues, crime, border control problems. And I suspect that he's going to have to address that, even if it means that he takes a little off of his fastball on the issues of social spending and income inequality and climate change.
Yeah. When you think about it, Scott Walker, it was just last week where we were talking about the possibility of sanctions and how releasing those sanctions would deter Vladimir Putin from further invasion. Well, we've seen Putin now invade Ukraine. We've seen sanctions come forward. And based on today's reporting, no signs of Russian troops stopping their invasion of Ukraine here. So when it comes to showing strength from the United States and our EU and NATO partners here, does the president have something to tout during tonight's address?
No, he's weak. He's weak on domestic and foreign policy, and I think most Americans realize he's not up for the job. But when it comes to Putin, like Lenin many decades before him, they probe with bayonets. If they find mush, they push. If they find steel, they stop. And so far, not only here in this situation, but I think looking in the past year at how the United States abandoned Afghanistan, surrendered over massive amounts of military equipment, much of which could have been given to the Ukrainians fighting against the Russians right now. They see a lot of mush under Joe Biden. He needs to step up, not just as a Democrat, but as the commander-in-chief of the United States, and show that there's some steel and some backbone, not only on foreign policy, but do the same when it comes to domestic policy.
Yeah, a lot happening, of course, overseas, and we're monitoring that. But Jennifer, when it comes to Americans' day-to-day lives, they take note of those kitchen table issues, the domestic policy issues, the higher costs of goods and gas at that time. Can the president show empathy when it comes to dealing with the struggles many Americans have faced over this past year?
I'm positive he will try to show empathy, but in order to show empathy, he would have to make some big changes that he's not willing to make, like making America energy independent right now. Stop buying Russian oil. That would help his Ukraine stance as well. The Russian foreign minister said today that Russia will continue their military operations just until they reach their goals. So Putin is not going to stop. Sanctions will not stop him. So Joe Biden needs to focus on our domestic issues. Hopefully, he will discuss the war on our southern border. Hopefully, he will discuss the war on us from the tech oligarchs here, and maybe he will talk about the war on parents and trying to make the best decision for their children. Mm-hmm. And maybe he will focus less on our foreign problems at the moment.
All right, set to kick off at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Newsmax has got you covered tonight. Thane Rosenbaum, Jennifer Massey, Scott Walker, stay with us. Still more to cover. As we've been saying, the president delivering his first State of the Union address as commander-in-chief tonight. And face masks no longer required for those in attendance. Our panelists weigh in with their thoughts on the other side of this break.